Good day, good people, and welcome to Contemplative Inner Being. So glad that you are here, whether you're watching the live session or you are watching the recording. As always, thank you for being part of this small but growing community. If you will, let me know in the chat section that you can hear me okay. This year's theme is Revolutionary Belovedness, becoming a people of the second gaze. It's a shared path of spiritual formation rooted in contemplation, courage, and care for the common good. Thank you, Mark. It's good to see you with us. And this year, we will encounter a contemplative approach as we explore the 10 practices of revolutionary love as put forward by Valerie Kaur, the 9 elements of a universal spirituality as outlined by Wayne Teasdale in the book The Mystic Heart, and the 8 core principles of the Center for Action and Contemplation with Father Richard Rohr. Together, these create a rich foundation for a lived experience of the contemplative path. You will also see on the Mighty Network, where the events are listed, a section for member reflections, and that'll be a place that you can go to and share your reflections on the week's session. The recordings will be available, as always, on the Mighty Network and on YouTube, so you'll be able to watch those. I know some weeks we have more people watch the recordings than can make it to the live sessions. And I know with the new year that the holidays are still impacting attendance, but we thank you all for being here, as always. Tonight, in addition to our session, before we actually get to the session, I want to just talk a little bit more about the journey that's ahead of us, and just so that you have some background, to talk about becoming a people of the second gaze. What is the second gaze? You'll find this information on the Mighty Network as well. The second gaze names a way of seeing that arises after initial reactive glance at life. The first look we have often comes shaped by habit, by self-protection, by memory, and inherited patterns of judgment. It moves quickly. It's sorting experience according to fear, desire, or control. The second gaze, however, unfolds more slowly. It emerges through prayer, through silence, and through honest self-awareness. It reflects a perception rooted in communion rather than defense. The second gaze flows from humility, and it recognizes shared vulnerability and shared responsibility. Instead of scanning the world for what threatens identity or comfort, the second gaze opens towards relationship. The second gaze perceives the dignity of each person while remaining aware of complexity, suffering, and contradiction, because those are really undeniable. And the second gaze holds truth and compassion together as a single movement of attention. Friends, in contemplative traditions, this way of seeing, this second gaze, develops through steady practice. Silence trains the heart to pause. Prayer forms patience. Self-knowledge softens the impulse to project our pain outward. And over time, perception becomes less entangled with ego needs and more attuned to the deeper currents of life. And this is the gaze that sees beyond labels and roles, perceiving persons rather than positions, and stories rather than slogans. The second gaze carries moral weight. From this place, nonviolence becomes natural rather than imposed. Harm appears as something that reverberates through the whole, including the one who causes it. Solidarity emerges as an instinctive response because separation no longer feels convincing. And compassion becomes possible even in the presence of conflict because the heart remains anchored in shared humanity. This way of seeing also undergirds prophetic presence. And the second gaze does not avert its eyes from injustice or suffering. It looks directly and steadily while refusing to collapse into accusation or despair. The second gaze names truth with clarity while remaining rooted in love. It allows grief to be honored and anger to be transmuted into courage guided by wisdom. Friends, to become a people of the second gaze is to undergo a gradual re-education of perception, and unlearning, and then a relearning. And this second gaze is really to learn how to look again and then to look more deeply. It invites a life shaped by attentiveness, restraint, and tenderness, where action arises from intimacy with reality rather than reaction to it. In this gaze, love ceases to be an idea and becomes a way of seeing the world as worthy of care, repair, and reverence. So you don't have to remember all of that because this is how we are going to spend our year together. But I wanted to give you a sense of the depth and width of which we are going to encounter the year, because to become a people of the second gaze does take practice and reflection and practice, more and more practice. The title for this year, Revolutionary Belovedness, actually came from this combination of the three, the revolutionary love, the 9 elements of a universal spirituality, and the core principles of the Center for Action and Contemplation. It could have been easily just to take revolutionary love and go with that, because what Valerie Kaur has put together for us to learn from is extraordinary. However, I also feel like in our world today that we have this epidemic of loneliness where people don't feel like they belong. I know that I have those feelings at times as well. But belonging is different than fitting in, as Brene Brown tells us. Belonging really comes from a deep grounding in who we truly are. And who we truly are is rooted in belovedness. So I thought that name, Revolutionary Belovedness, was very fitting for the year so that we could continue to look at how revolutionary it is to be grounded in who we truly are, in our own inherent belovedness, so that from that grounded place we can move out into the world to be a source of healing and service. And I hope this is something that will be intriguing to you for the year to come. You will also see in the event section on the Mighty Network, I have laid out our full 52 weeks of what our topics will be. There's a very brief description with each one, such as tonight is beloved community as the ground of revolutionary love. And this is about, is about grounding the journey in shared belonging and collective commitment to love that transforms communities. And what I would like to offer in each session is basically 4 parts. We'll come together, we'll do a brief centering so that we can be here now. Excuse me again. And then I will share 10 to 15 minutes or so, maybe a little longer, reflection on the topic of that session. After that, I will lead us through a guided inquiry or a guided meditation, whichever phrase you like to do, to deepen our practice and our felt of this topic. Then after that third part, we will open up for discussion. I'll give you 3 or 4 questions to prompt some dialogue. You can pick one of those or 2 of those, and you can share. There is the capability for you to come on screen and share if you'd like, or if you just want to stay in the chat section and share, you can do that as well. I always want to encourage as much interaction as possible. Remember, the chat section stays open the whole time, so if anything comes to your heart that you want to share, please do, because your sharing supports the rest of the community as well. I think that covers enough of the logistics for now, and we will revisit that again from time to time. So let's take a moment to center ourselves. Take a moment to arrive. And let your body settle into the space where you are. Feel the contact between your body and whatever supports you. Notice the simple fact that you are breathing without needing to adjust or improve it. And with each breath, allow yourself to soften just a little. Good, good. This gathering does not ask you to perform, explain, or defend who you are. It asks only that you be present. And as you breathe, bring to mind the people gathered with you near and far. Some you know well, some only slightly, some perhaps not at all. Whoever comes to mind. And let the awareness arise that you are not alone in this moment. Let the awareness arise that you are part of something larger than your individual story. Let yourself sense the quiet truth that belonging is not something you must earn. It is something you remember. Let's just rest here in the silence for about a minute, a few breaths, grounded in that shared human reality that holds us all. You can take a gentle deep breath now, and if your eyes were closed, you can open those. Remember, the chat section is open, so anything that comes up, comment, reflection, question, we've had it in the past where some people like to use the chat section to take notes and share their notes with others. Friends, beloved community arises as a living field rather than an abstract idea. It emerges wherever human beings recognize one another as participants in a shared life that precedes preference, agreement, or achievement. And so this session is really going to invite our attention to that field and to the quiet way it already shapes experience. And the focus rests on belonging as a spiritual reality that forms the ground from which love grows, matures, and moves into the world. You see, human beings enter life already held within relationship. Breath arrives through an exchange with the world. Language forms through listening long before speaking. And identity develops through mirrors offered by others. We are already in relationship from the very beginning. And beloved community names this original condition of interrelatedness, interbeing, and brings it into our conscious awareness. Rather than something constructed through effort, it becomes something remembered through presence. When this remembering occurs, love takes on depth and durability. Love ceases to function as sentiment and begins to function as orientation. You see, friends, belonging carries a bodily signature. It registers in the nervous system as ease, as steadiness, as openness. And when belonging is sensed, muscles soften, breath flows more freely, attention widens, curiosity awakens, and a sense of safety emerges that allows honesty and vulnerability to coexist. Beloved community lives first in these subtle signals. Spiritual formation begins by learning to notice them. So, friends, the body becomes a trustworthy guide. It's offering this continuous information about connection and disconnection. Right? Through our seeing, our listening, our breathing, our touching, our smelling. Now, many spiritual paths emphasize transcendence, aspiration, or moral refinement. Beloved community emphasizes grounding. It affirms that transformation unfolds through relationship rather than escape from relationship. And then growth occurs as people remain present to one another across differences, uncertainty, and change. This presence fosters resilience. It also fosters humility. Each person brings a partial perspective shaped by history, culture, and experience. And then community holds these perspectives side by side and allows something larger to emerge. Beloved community honors individuality while releasing isolation. Each person matters as a unique expression of life, and at the same time, each person participates in patterns that exceed personal intention. Actions will ripple outwards, emotions travel through groups, stories shape collective memory. And awareness of this interdependence deepens our ethical sensitivity. Care for others arises naturally because others feel close rather than abstract. Responsibility grows from intimacy rather than obligation. And from this, revolutionary love takes root. This is how love gains courage, because it knows it belongs. And people anchored in belonging possess greater capacity to face injustice, to face grief, to face conflict. They carry support within them even when external affirmation fluctuates. It is quite amazing to me how we have been culturalized into responding to this external affirmation. But through an inner anchoring, we are allowed to sustain engagement with suffering. It allows truth-telling that seeks restoration rather than domination. And it allows disagreement that preserves dignity. So friends, beloved community creates space for accountability. Accountability flourishes when people sense that relationship endures through difficulty. And in such an environment, feedback becomes a place that serves growth, and repair becomes possible. Learning accelerates, and the aim remains collective flourishing rather than individual perfection. And each person contributes through presence, through honesty and care. And I hope to bring to you in the coming year more and more practices of presence and collective flourishing. so that we can support a community that itself becomes a teacher and companion. Through this shared field, you can sense and feel and experience an unfolding of spiritual maturity. We will deepen even more our awareness of the inner life through contemplative practices. We will experience that community practices will integrate that larger awareness into relationship. Just like silence attunes attention, listening refines perception, speaking from the heart strengthens trust. All of these, they cultivate patience, empathy, and discernment. They support alignment between our inner values and our outer action. And that really is contemplation in action. We cannot give what we do not have. And friends, beloved community also engages pain with tenderness. Every human being carries experiences of exclusion, misunderstanding, harm. And these experiences leave imprints that influence behavior and expectation. For those of you familiar with shadow work, you will understand that at another level. And I'm hopeful that this community can provide a container for healing by offering consistent presence. And I think that you will sense that healing unfolds gradually as safety accumulates. Stories will find their voice, emotions will move, new patterns will take shape. Love will prove reliable through repetition. And this process benefits from gentleness, because transformation rarely arrives through force. It arises through invitation. Similar to how James Finley says that, love is never imposed. It is always invited. And it's up to us to accept that invitation. And beloved community invites participation. And it's participation at a pace that's guided by wisdom. It'll be those places where boundaries receive respect, where consent shapes engagement, where diversity of our capacity enriches the whole, because each person contributes according to their readiness and circumstance. And this approach sustains long-term vitality. I think I'm about to sneeze, so I'll pause for just a second. Now, I've mentioned curiosity, I've mentioned gentleness, and beloved community also expands imagination. It invites envisioning social structures that reflect shared dignity. When people experience belonging, they begin to expect it. Expectations influence design, you see, and policies, institutions, and cultural norms evolve more towards inclusion from this practice. Love moves from interpersonal expression into collective embodiment, incarnation, if you will. And so our spiritual insight begins to inform our social practice. And friends, the field of beloved community, or beloved community, however you like to pronounce it, extends beyond the immediate circles. It reaches toward humanity as a whole and toward the living earth that sustains all life. In that sense, it's very Franciscan, because recognition of a shared destiny deepens our ecological awareness. Care for the planet arises from kinship rather than fear. Environmental stewardship becomes an expression of love for extended family. And this perspective aligns inner values with planetary well-being. And throughout this journey, belonging remains dynamic. It requires ongoing attentions. Presence renews it. Absence diminishes it. Practices that cultivate awareness support continuity. Regular gathering strengthens bonds. Shared rituals anchor meaning. Reflection integrates experience. And through these rhythms, community remains alive. Additionally, beloved community also shapes leadership. Leadership within this field emphasizes facilitation rather than control. Authority flows through trust. Wisdom circulates rather than concentrates. Decision-making honors diverse voices. And this is where power is transformed to serve connection. And this style of leadership models the values it seeks to advance. And the spiritual life within beloved community feels grounded and spacious because it welcomes complexity, it allows paradox, it sustains hope through commitment rather than certainty, and people continue showing up because relationship matters. Love persists through seasons of ease and challenge. The community carries the work when individuals feel weary. And joy emerges through shared celebration. I hope you can begin just for a little bit that what we're talking about is an unfolding where attention rests on sensing belonging as a lived reality. You belong. All those other voices that you hear, they are echoes in a distant land, even though they may sound loud. And friends, our awareness begins with breath and body. It extends into relationship. It informs action. And this progression mirrors the movement of love itself. Love begins within, flows between, and expresses throughout and through engagement with the world. Isn't that quite revolutionary? And it's not a matter of something new created. It's a matter of a new way of seeing, to become a people of the second gaze. So, beloved community serves both as foundation and horizon. It grounds present practice and it guides future aspiration. Each moment of connection contributes to its strengthening. Each act of care reinforces its presence. Each willingness to remain engaged deepens its resilience. And spiritual formation is going to unfold here through just ordinary gestures, the listening with patience, the speaking with clarity, the offering of our presence, the receiving of support. All these gestures accumulate, and over time they shape a culture of care. They create conditions for flourishing. They reflect the deepest truths of our shared humanity. So I hope in our first session tonight you are feeling the invitation for an ongoing explanation. And remember that belonging reveals new layers with more attention. Community will evolve through participation. Love will mature through practice. And the journey continues as an unfolding relationship among people committed to staying present to one another and to live the life they share. I'll take a breath here. If anyone has anything at all they'd like to share in the chat, you've been very quiet tonight. Give you just a moment, and then we're going to go into practice with a guided inquiry. After that, we'll have some time for deeper reflection, some group dialogue, perhaps. You're quite welcome. Thank you for being here. I call our practice sessions guided inquiries instead of guided meditation. They're synonymous. I use guided inquiry because that's what Valerie Kaur typically calls it. So let's take a moment together and to practice, to settle into this time. This is an invitation toward a gentle inward journey meant to be experienced rather than analyzed. Because you're not here to solve anything or reach a conclusion. You are really here to listen beneath the words, beneath the ideas, and into the wisdom already moving in your body and heart. So this practice is inspired by the understanding that love begins in belonging, and that belonging is felt before it is named. We're going to explore what it means to sense ourselves as held within something larger, something shared, something alive. And if it's comfortable for you, you might want to close your eyes. And just begin by noticing your body as it is right now. Just notice the points of contact between your body and the surface beneath you, whether seated on the floor or the chair. And just feel the weight of your body being received. Notice how you don't need to hold yourself up. Just kind of let gravity do some of the work. It's the relationship you have with it. And without changing your breath, bring your attention to it. Feel where your breath touches you most clearly. And let the breath arrive and leave in its own way. As you continue breathing, imagine the space around your body. You can sense the air resting against your skin. Just notice its temperature and its texture. Allow yourself to feel held within this space rather than separate from it. What does it feel like in your body to be held? Now bring your awareness toward the center of your chest. You can place a hand there if it helps. Simply notice any sensations that are present. With gentleness, what does belonging feel like here? Let an image arise that represents belonging for you. And notice where it appears in or around your body. And if there are any sensations, just observe what sensations accompany that image. Good. Gently bring to mind the presence of others. Imagine many lives breathing alongside you in this moment. Notice how your body responds to this sense of togetherness. If it feels safe for you, bring to mind a moment when you felt deeply included. And notice what sensations return to your body as you remember. Now take a moment and acknowledge the ways that your body has learned to protect itself. And notice where those patterns live. Offer them kindness. Imagine what it might feel like to remain connected while staying intact. And notice any shifts that arise. Bring attention back to the rhythm of your breath. Sense your body as part of a living whole. And if you'd like, you can repeat after me. Breathing in, I belong to this moment. Breathing out, I am held within the human family. Breathing in, I belong to this moment. Breathing out, I am held within the human family. When you're ready, you can take a gentle deep breath and open your eyes. Bring your awareness back to the space around you. And whatever arose for you, you can carry it with you. Carry it with tenderness toward yourself and others. What I have put together for our group dialogue is 4 prompts. Instead of just trying to create something open, I'll try to give you a little prompt. And you don't have to, I put together 4 of them. You can pick just one if you'd like. And you can respond in the chat. And of course, they will be in the member reflection section, so you'll be able to reply to them as they're on the Mighty Network there as well. But for now, here's the first 2. You can share a time about when belonging was felt in your body rather than understood in thought, and how that bodily knowing shaped your capacity to stay present. Number 2, reflect on how your body has learned to approach community, especially during the moments of uncertainty or tension. And then 3, explore what beloved community invites of you now as a lived practice rather than an idea. And the fourth one is consider how grounding love, I'll try that again. Consider how grounding love and belonging reshapes imagination around care, accountability, and justice. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give us a minute or two of silence to let you explore that. And if you want to type any portion, amount of response into the chat, you can do that. Take your time. And I'll provide some time for you to do that in silence. Again, friends, thank you so much for being here, whether you're here for the live session or you're watching the recording. Mark your calendars. It's each Sunday at 6 p.m., weather and internet providing. I look forward to seeing you. And we can close together with loving kindness. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be peaceful. May you be at ease. May we be safe. May we be happy. May we be healthy. May we be at ease. May we be peaceful. Many blessings to all. Good night for now.